Welcome back to 5-Minute Fantasy Football, presented to you by the Sports Gambling Podcast Network and our friends over at Underdog. Make sure you go to Underdog, download Underdog, use promo code FFSGPN so they know we sent you. Every week we are cheering for interceptions. Pick 3 quarterbacks that you think are going to throw an interception. Pick the higher and cheer for interceptions. Let the whole house have some fun. And let's get into my streams of the week. We'll talk about my rankings a little bit, but looking at the streaming options, the first thing you want to do is look at the matchups. Obviously, matchups can change based on, injuries and other things. But number one, you're looking at who are the teams that are consistently giving up points to the position. It allows you, when you're making your lineup decisions, to kind of split, hey, I have this player and this player. Once you have them ranked very similarly, you can split it when this person has a good matchup versus bad matchup. So the quarterbacks, the top 5 points per game, Jaguars number 1, Buccaneers number 2, Ravens number 3, Bengals number 4, and number 5, Carolina Panthers. We saw the Ravens and the Bengals the other day. Wish we could get them every Thursday night. The running backs, Panthers, Bills, Jaguars, Cowboys, and Buccaneers. Wide receivers, Ravens, Vikings, Lions, Jaguars, and Browns. Tight ends, Panthers, Chiefs, Colts, Buccaneers, and Bengals. And defenses, Raiders, Titans, Browns, Giants, Patriots. So again, when we're looking at who are we going to stream this week, Justin Herbert really stands out. The Titans have become one of the better matchups. They'll be down 3 of their top 5 defensive backs from week 1 until this week, with Ladarius Sneed being out, and then they lost Quandre Diggs to the season with an injury as well. Justin Herbert's been playing better. They're actually throwing the ball a lot more than we expected. Even at a plus matchup, when they are ahead by 7 or more, they're throwing the ball at 53% of the time. Last couple of weeks, we've seen 2 quarterback 1 performances from Justin Herbert. He's starting to hit his stride. We're seeing Josh Palmer get healthy, Ladd McConkey get healthy, and this offense looks a lot better coming off of the bye, and the defense is playing really well, and they should have a fun day against Tennessee. We'll talk about them in a second. Tua Tagovailoa, I know Tua brings the risk. Anytime he runs, everybody holds their breath. But the Rams have been an absolutely great matchup for everybody, and you see a ton of breakout performances. There's we could see it again with Jaylen Waddle, seeing him bounce back. We saw Jackson Smith and Jigba go nuts last week. Really like Tua this week. I think you could see him as a top 10 guy. I had him right outside of my top 12. Drake May, I know he comes with some risk, and Chicago isn't always the best matchup, but Chicago is probably going to be without both their tackles on offense and both their top pass rushers on defense. He's got a ton of scrambling ability. We saw 95 yards last week. We're seeing him create more, and he's doing really well in a bad situation. Out of 20 quarterbacks that qualify, he's got the number 1 at 65% first down or touchdown percentage rate. That's number 1 out of the qualifying 15 qualifying quarterbacks with 20 or more scrambles. I'm thinking Drake May could potentially defeat Caleb Williams and the Bears this week. If you're looking for a deeper play, Daniel Jones, we've seen him several times this week be a fantasy option. It really just comes down to matchup. He's not good against good defenses, but bad defenses, he does well. And last week we saw him rush the ball. He ran for a score, threw for a score. Look for this week. They have Carolina Panthers. It's week 10, and they've given up 15 rushing touchdowns. Let that sink in. You can see Tracy, Jones, and Singletary get the touchdowns this week. TJ Hawkinson, he's back. I know he didn't do much last week, but this is a much better matchup. And last week was kind of the warm-up. Get him involved, knock some rust off, take a few hits. Jacksonville they're definitely a good medicine for anybody that needs a good fantasy performance, and I think the Vikings are going to beat up on them. Taysom Hill is someone that, he's finally gotten healthy from that chest injury, and we saw last week with Jamal Williams and Kendre Miller out, and all the options out on the receiving front. Taysom Hill was very involved in this offense. You can see that again. There's just not many tight ends that are going to get this opportunity. He's inside the top 10 of most rankings, and someone you need to consider. He might be available in your leagues. Hunter Henry. I know Hunter Henry's been a little up and down this year, but he's been more up than down. And let's be honest, a lot of tight ends are up and down. But Hunter Henry's been pretty solid, and he's the number one target in this offense. Drake May's playing really well, and you've seen Hunter Henry be someone that you can count on. So I'm going to go with him. If you need a deep play, deep option, Theo Johnson. He had 14 fantasy points last week against Carolina Panthers, who are the top matchup for tight ends. Back to Carolina and New York. New York, their defense leads the league in sacks. Their defense is being wasted by a terrible offense and Daniel Jones. But they get the Carolina Panthers this week. The Giants are actually 4.5-point favorites. And Bryce Young and that offensive line are just juicy. The rest of the year, if you want to just look up their schedule, you can see what defenses to stash moving forward. Dexter Lawrence, Brian Burns, and the boys should have fun against Bryce Young and that Carolina Panthers offense. Los Angeles Chargers are my number one defense overall this week. They get Will Levis. They get the 31st ranked Tennessee Titans. The Titans' offensive line is bad. They're letting up one of the league's highest pass rush rates. And now Lloyd Cushenberry is out, their top prize free agent. And so I'm looking for this to be a pretty tough matchup for Will Levis. And the Chargers are one of the top pass rush rate teams in the league. Detroit Lions, the Houston Texans. Poor CJ Stroud. He made the comment to Caleb Williams, stop taking hits. CJ, you need to stop taking some hits. He's got 2 8-sack performances in the last 4 weeks. We have this interior offensive line is just trash. I'm surprised we didn't see a trade this week for some interior help. CJ Stroud has really it's been a rough year. He's had a lot of injuries to the offensive positions. Joe Mixon missed some time. Nico Collins is out. He could be coming back this week, if not next week. And then Stephon Diggs is out for the year. I think they'll miss some time. But that interior offensive line may have got worse. I don't know. I don't know if it can get worse, but Kenyon Green is questionable for this week. And the other play is that Atlanta Falcons against the Saints. Saints, I mean, they have nobody. It's Alvin Kamara, and that's it. Alvin Kamara and Taysom Hill. So Derek Carr, he tends to throw some interceptions. So let's go through some of my top 10 in each position. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, Brock Purdy, Joe Burrow, Sam Darnold, Kyler Murray, Matthew Stafford, and Baker Mayfield for my top 10 quarterbacks. My top 10 running backs this week in half-point PPR. Starting at number 10, I have Joe Mixon. Then I have number 9, Christian McCaffrey. Devon Achane at 8, Aaron Jones at 7, Breece Hall at 6, Kyron Williams at 5, Alvin Kamara at 4, Saquon Barkley at 3, Bijan Robinson at 2, Derrick Henry at 1. Derrick Henry wasn't amazing yesterday. He still got in the end zone, but he probably will not hold that one spot. Probably should have put Jamar Chase at 1. Thought about it, didn't do it, regret it. Faced him 6 times this week, so please keep me in your thoughts. Justin Jefferson at 1, Jamar Chase at 2, Tyreek Hill at 3, Amon-Ra St. Brown at 4, Cooper Kupp at 5, Malik Neighbors at 6, Garrett Wilson at 7, A.J. Brown at 8, Puka Nacua at 9, Deebo Samuel at 10. We'll see if Drake London plays. He could move up a little bit if he plays. Remember, no Marshawn Lattimore in New Orleans anymore. And Mike Evans does not play the Commanders. I looked. So at tight end, Travis Kelce, George Kittle, Cade Otton at 3, Trey McBride at 4, Kyle Pitts at 5, Mike Gesicki at 6, Dalton Kincaid at 7, Evan Ingram at 8, Mark Andrews at 9, Taysom Hill at 10. Top 10 defenses, and then we're going to get out of here. New England Patriots at 10, Detroit Lions at 9, Chicago Bears at 8, San Francisco 49ers at 7, Buffalo Bills at 6, Minnesota Vikings at 5, New York Giants at 4, Kansas City Chiefs at 3, Philadelphia Eagles at 2, and my number 1 defense of the week is the Los Angeles Chargers. All right, that's been 5 Minute Fantasy Football. As always, good luck this season.